Beneath the Planet of Apes is the first science fiction movie sequel to ever be made, but does it live up to the first? Hey everyone, welcome to Cinema, where we focus on a film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of Beneath the Planet of Apes. Are you on the negative side, or a good side, or somewhere in the middle? Let me know all that down in the comments below. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you're already ready to join this film culture community as we're reviewing each and every Planet of Apes movie leading up to Kingdom of Planet of Apes upon its release. But going right into the synopsis, a lone survivor of the interplanetary rescue mission goes afoot on the Planet of the Apes, but when he discovers something beneath the surface, things get worse than he thought. And going right into positive, overall, the general story has the same vibe that carries on from the first to this one, has the same great makeup effects that you get with the apes, and has a fairly entertaining story, just with certain action sequences that have all of the great vibes, and it has its stakes that once you're really recognizing the threat that this film holds, it is great to its measure of what it's going for, and just what we get from Brent as the new character of this story is holding its own measure to how he's acting and what you're getting from the different dynamics. It pulls on some repetitive motions that we got from the first, but overall you're getting something that's fairly interesting, that became entertaining enough just with how you're pulling in the familiar characters, what you got from the first, and bringing it over and playing the tale with Brent, and then also Nova just being side by side with him, and getting Charlton Heston is still good in his performance and plays along the lines that goes about a story that is fairly good for the nature of what we're getting, especially near the end. That final sequence is surprising and has a really shocking ending that really brings this film home to just something I did not expect as a whole. But going into some of the mixed elements, overall, some of the story elements are repetitive, like I said, and it can throw people off, can throw me off at certain times for what you're getting of the reintroduction to the apes, getting this atmosphere that you're not too familiar with once you're bringing in Brent, and almost playing off like you already knew it was going to happen, but obviously it wasn't totally planned ahead of time, I would assume, based on how you're not typically getting sci-fi sequels at this time, and just what you get from the story is generally generic and plays along safely the same motions, starting with the ending and replaying that from the Planet of the Apes first movie. And once you're getting into the story, you sort of lose track of certain aspects of what the story is ultimately going after at the end. But going into some of the negative elements, unfortunately this story becomes too convoluted with too many motions that it loses some of its emotion of what its focus truly is on by creating all of this new alien species that's all the mysterious aspects that's beneath the Planet of the Apes, and having this threat that's with the apes against the human, as well as just what you're going on underneath the surface, and providing that threat that does provide something that's substantial to what's going on. But within all of the mix of the action and stuff that's going on, ultimately you lose Charlton Heston in the mix from becoming part of the central story at the beginning, especially as you reintroduce him by replaying that ending scene of Planet of the Apes and going about in the same motion that you lose him fairly on in the movie, regain him later on in the movie, and you don't get too much insight into what he knows, what he did, and everything that played along the fact of how certain aspects of him disappeared based on notions that I'm not going to spoil. But just the general vibe of this film is thrown off just with him being missing from a majority of the film when you build him up to be this main playing character of the first film, and understanding that he is in this film and starting off with this film, but then you reintroduce Brent and sort of lose sight of what you're going for when you lose Taylor in the mix and you're not getting him until the end. And he doesn't have too much of a substantial role once you get him at the end. And unfortunately, you lose the sight of what this franchise seems to be wanting to do. It does have its heavy stakes, especially notably by the ending scene and how this film ends off with a jarring moment that really does work as a story element, but unfortunately, because you're not totally getting the vibe of why we should get into Brent as a character and why we are left losing the focus on Charlton Heston playing Taylor, it goes about in a weird vibe because you don't know where Taylor is for most of the film, and you're not understanding what the film is going after until once it's at the end. But by that time, things are so intermixed in such an unconventional way that the story feels lost by its own measures for what it's ultimately wanting you to make you feel, and just the general vibe and the atmosphere, what you're getting, the questions of the themes just doesn't ultimately work out by the film's intentions by the end. And so that's just my personal review on Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Is it good, bad, or somewhere in the middle? And I have to rate it a simply 5 out of 10, where it isn't the worst of the films that I can get because I enjoy the general vibe, but it really doesn't win me over by all the convoluted aspects throughout. So that's just all. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment down below, like this video, subscribe if you're not already to join in this film culture community. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.